So I turn my podcast on, turn the volume up, push play to hear what these dudes will say. 'Cause for romance now I know that there are only hope.
Welcome back to another edition of A Talk to Remember, where we talk about movies that you need to remember because most of them are good. Well, some of them are good. Most of them are subpar. A few of them are the craps. I am one of your hosts, Mikey Black, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Nate McDivitt. Nate, how are you?
Man, I am good. I'm good. We went to the beach last week, and I was in the ocean, and lo and behold, I came out and look at this. Look at Guru.
Dude, if you're watching on YouTube, he is the Sultan of Stash, people.
Is that a crustacean?
Mm-hmm. It is. Now, I must ask you a question, okay? Never mind. I'll save it for later.
Okay. Also with us, we have my pal, Brandon Taylor. Brandon.
Hey, Taylor, give me a yo one time.
Yo.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Okay. I hope
that was fun.
Happens again.
That was fun.
And folks, tonight Bradley Toon is not with us. He said he had some things he had to do, and we will respect that. We're
give him crap behind his back.
Yeah, Bradley, you really dropped the ball, man. You really dropped it. You dropped it, you popped it, and you kicked that thing down the road. So it's kind of like the old days. It's me, Brandon, and Nate doing this thing, but
it's bad cop, good cop, and Mr. Neutral Cop.
Which one? Who's who?
Taylor, see if you can guess who's who.
I'm going to guess Brandon is good cop.
Yep.
Mikey's probably bad cop.
Yeah, for sure.
Nate's right in the middle.
Yeah,
I love it.
Nate he's the perfect police officer with that stash right now too. So he's got that going. So Taylor, our sound man, usually he just reads the synopsis and we don't want him to talk much. But I was thinking about this today, guys. You can stop me if you want to. Taylor has seen this movie. And so I was thinking to myself, because that's what I called me. I said, Self. We let Taylor do one of these before, and it was maybe the worst movie God ever let be created, Pride and Prejudice. So it's only fair if I bring him into one that I picked, a movie that I've chosen, what I consider one of the best movies we'll ever do, Dan in Real Life. So Nate, Brandon, how would you feel about letting Taylor have a bigger role in this one?
Well, he yoed, so I'm in.
Well, I don't know.
He yoed.
He owed.
He yoed.
I yoed.
Oh.
He told me to give him a yo. I gave him a yo.
Okay.
Yeah. You didn't give me a yo.
Yeah,
You've never given me one darn yo.
Never give you a yo. Nate, what do you think?
Well, I say he's in. I wasn't here for Pride and Prejudice, so I'm happy to have you join in, Taylor. Second of all, Brandon, in Mikey's defense, you did say, Taylor, give me a yo.
That's true.
But do you ask him a lot?
I've never asked any of y'all. Here's the thing. If I ask anyone to give me a yo, I want all the yos I can get.
I will never yo-yo back.
So I was confused because you just said, Taylor, give me a yo. So I was like, well, Taylor's going to give me a yo.
Well, you're right, but I just expect a lot.
Hey, Nate, give me a yo.
Yo.
Oh, I think I'm going to make that a thing.
I'll make a new thing. One step ahead.
All right. Okay, so Taylor, I've been trying to buy you time to get that poster up. I know you haven't done it.
I know
for a fact you haven't done it.
I did do it, and it is right here.
All right, folks, let's talk about this poster. Brandon, I know you being the king of pancakes probably have a lot to say about this. So tell us what you thought this movie was going to be based on this poster.
This is my favorite movie poster that we've seen so far. I was tantalized by it. I thought about pancakes for 3 days after we watched this movie. I thought that this was a movie about a man who just had a bad day. And what do you do when you have a bad day? You eat pancakes with a lot of butter and a lot of syrup. Although I will say, if I was Steve Carell, I'd have definitely had more syrup because your pancakes were going to get dry.
I thought when you had a bad day, that song and you turn it around.
You kick up the leaves and the magic is gone.
Sing a sad song and you turn it around.
Yeah, something like
Guys, that song got me through middle school. It was awesome. I had an iPod and everything, and I just played on the bus as I sat alone. It was rough, but it was incredible to have that song.
Who sung that song?
Who sang it?
Daniel Powder, One Hit Wonder. He also sang Free
Daniel
Loop and Jimmy
Powder.
Gets High Tonight.
I knew he knew.
Oh, I did never a doubt.
Taylor, what about you? What do you think of this poster?
Well, I saw that it's Steve Carell, and I thought maybe this was some sort of cool NBC crossover where he was meeting with Amy Poehler from Parks and Rec, who we know is a massive breakfast food fan.
Okay.
And obviously I'm going to guess his character's name is Dan. And while he and Amy are eating tons and tons of breakfast food, the reality is that Dan in real life doesn't like breakfast food, and that's why he's lying down in pancakes.
That's a big. They went to the movies for a TV crossover. That's a bold prediction.
I was close.
If
I
someone
was really
doesn't
close.
like pancakes, I just don't get it.
I'm not a big pancake guy. I'd rather have
man.
waffles.
I like waffles too.
If I had a choice, I'd pick waffles 9 times out of 10.
Oh, let's pass.
Interesting.
Nate, what about you? What did you think?
I'll be honest. Dan in real life laying on. I was just honestly, I felt like Brandon. I was really distracted by the pancakes and how he ruined them, and I had a really hard time. Like even as you guys were talking, I was like, man, I could make up something. I could lie, but the reality is, I don't know why he's laying on pancakes like that. And I'm a big pancake fan, and just wasn't quite there. So, but I did read that it said something's happening to Dan. It's confusing. It's awkward. It's family. I would have thought that pancakes would have played more of a role in the movie, like just by this.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
If the pancakes aren't in your mouth, it's all going to go south.
You're
I love
really
it.
happy with yourself, aren't you?
I thought about that while
Just
Nate was
now?
talking.
I love it.
I feel like my jokes aren't landing as hard, and I'm really concerned.
It's Bradley. You need to blame Bradley. He's messed up the mojo.
That's true. He's usually your guy.
I need people.
I'll be your guy. I could be your hero, baby.
Nate, give him a yo.
Oh,
All right, for me, this is the movie that I picked this year. Brandon did. What did Brandon do?
It's all about time.
Love.
Yep.
He didn't know what he did. Nate did. Knights and Rodance. Bradley's still yet to pick. Taylor, I think, is going to get pick one.
Ooh.
This was the one I picked. I'm going to be honest with you. The first time I saw this movie, the first thing I saw was this poster. And so I didn't see a preview for it. I didn't know anything about it. I just love Steve Carell from The Office. And so I thought, well, in my mind, looking at this poster, you wouldn't think this would have any kind of romantic feel to the movie. You would think this was going to be some kind of comedy.
yeah.
And so I thought like maybe this was, I really thought it was like this dude has a horrible life and maybe he's like narcoleptic. And so I thought it was going to be like some kind of narcoleptic comedy when I first watched it. That is so far from the truth, but that's what I got from looking at this poster. And so we've
Look
got
at that syrup, man. It doesn't even look like syrup the way it's dripping. It looks.
That's honey. That's honey. I know the difference. That
I
is
was gonna-
Photoshop.
I was gonna say it looks like motor oil.
Brandon, you think that's real butter?
Well, it is squishing, but it'd have to be real soft butter. No, yeah, it's real butter.
Okay. All right.
The
He's
syrup's
spoken.
fake.
He had spoken. Let's jump into this thing. Taylor, how's the synopsis look?
It is. Where is it? There we go. It's like 5 paragraphs.
Okay. So we've got enough to go on here. All right. Get us started.
So Dan Burns is a newspaper advice columnist, a widower, and a single parent to his 3 girls living in northern New Jersey, one of the worst places on earth. The family takes a trip to the rambling Rhode Island home of his parents for an annual family gathering. Also in attendance are Dan's brother and sister with their families, along with Dan's younger brother, Mitch, who is known for his carefree bachelor ways.
All right. So right when the movie starts, the first scene you see, if I'm right, and I believe I am, Carell wakes up in bed. He kind of reaches over and no one's there. And that kind of sets the pace for like everything you need to know about this movie. This is a dude who was in, like, you don't know what's happened to his wife, but you know that someone was there. You know that he loved her, and you know that she's gone. And so then we meet his daughters, and he's got 3 of them. And anybody else got anything right here about this beginning before we get to the family?
I do. So Taylor made a comment that New Jersey is a horrible place. And here's the thing. If you've ever watched Cake Boss with Buddy, it's Hoboken, New Jersey. They're making what are those things with cream-filled centers?
Donuts?
No, calzones.
Oh.
They're not calzones. They're cannolis.
Cannolis.
They're making cannolis. They're making cakes. So there's good things in New Jersey, too. That's all.
That's a great little share for the movie, Brandon. Anything about the movie, Brandon?
Yeah, I like how they painted the picture of there's a little family angst going on. You know, you could tell the tension between the dad and the daughters, and they just do a really good job of talking about emotion without saying anything, with like the empty bed thing. And I'm pulling this out of my
Yeah, I know. Anybody out of his pocket, he said.
Out of his pocket. I did notice this. So this is just like little. It's funny how like you pick up on the really serious things, like he's in bed alone, and he's clearly not like he's like looks over. I didn't see that at all. But what I noticed was that what grade would you say the youngest child is in?
I mean, she's
11, 10,
yeah. She's probably 10, 11 years old.
and then the middle one. I think she's 16, right? She's not 16 yet.
No, so the oldest one's just now learning to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is in 4th grade.
Okay, and well, here's the thing: they all are running to the same bus, and I just thought that was really interesting that they were all going to get on the same bus. I think that, like, as a parent, I would probably have a problem with that with my 2nd grader on the bus with a senior.
So this is a true story. In Eastern
What, Dan
Kentucky.
in real life is?
Yes.
Oh.
No. In Eastern Kentucky, we share like middle, elementary, and high schoolers all rode the same bus.
Wow.
Really?
True story. Yeah. We would drop them off and then we'd head
That's
on
like
to the high
a
school.
bullying, like
I know. It's just a
weed
hotbed.
opportunity.
Never happened.
Oh, Mikey.
We just respected each other.
But you just Mikey was the enforcer.
Yeah, dude. I took care of
Security
them.
guard.
That's true, though. Yeah. That's
So
weird. I just thought that was normal.
Well, no, not normal. Well, maybe it is.
Not
Maybe it wasn't normal for me. Also, I did notice this, and this will be where I'm going to kind of go off on a tangent right
All
now.
right, let's go.
He started making a sandwich, right? Not making sandwiches. He was making sandwiches.
A literal sandwich.
Actual sandwich.
2 pieces of
For his-
bread and filling.
Yes. Mikey, do you remember what it was filled full of?
I want to say there was bananas.
Mm-hmm.
And peanut butter.
Was it peanut butter and banana?
And
Was it honey?
honey.
Yeah.
So I remember way back when we did a little debate about what was the best sandwich ever.
Dumb.
And we all know, everybody here knows that I won that debate and that grilled cheese was the best lunch. This is what I would say. This is what I want to ask you, Mikey. Where would this sandwich? Also, it was crunchy peanut butter. A team crunchy peanut butter.
peanut
Which,
butter.
Didn't pick up on that.
crunchy peanut butter,
honey,
banana, and honey. Where would that rank? Like, give me like a before and an after. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is before is this I would, and then after is this, and I would eat
Right.
or not eat.
So it would be before, like I would eat that sandwich. Gosh, I hate crunchy peanut. I hate honey. I hate bananas. But I would eat that before like a tuna sandwich. Tuna to me is just the worst of the worst. But I'd probably what would be better than just slightly better? You know what else I don't like? And a lot of people give me crap for this, and I'm just going to say it right now, and I don't care. If you're listening and you think that I'm being ridiculous, I don't care what your feelings are. I don't like ham sandwiches. I don't like them.
I'm there with you, man.
So
Just plain ham, or like you don't like ham.
I don't like ham.
That's what I had for lunch today.
Wow.
I'd rather, if I want turkey, I want roast beef, I want chicken. I don't want bologna.
Tuna?
Bologna would probably be, and tuna would be after. But ham. I would eat a ham sandwich barely before I would eat that sandwich.
Okay.
Brandon's the food guy.
Now I was going to pivot, Brandon. Like, A, tell us about your peanut butter choices. B, if you were going to go healthy sandwich and add some sort of fruit to a sandwich, what would it be? And where would you rank this sandwich and amongst other sandwiches?
That's 3 questions.
All right, I'm pretty smart, and I did forget them all, but I'm just going to wing it. So this is what I thought about the honey peanut butter nanner sandwich. We can take out the bananas, not necessary. A good honey peanut butter is quite delicious, and if you get local honey, that's going to help your allergies. That's when peanut butter's got protein. You did say, though, how
crunchy or creamy?
Both. Let's do a little bit of both.
You're fine.
Let's fry it. Actually, let's
fry peanut butter.
Why not? Yeah, you fry it, or just heat it up in the toaster oven, because heated up, toasted, crunchy peanut butter is a delight. I do love my crunchy, but I like my creamy too. I say both. I can't pick one or the other. But if you're going to make it healthy, cut up some apple slices and just insert them within the sandwich. And that way you get the skin of the apple. It's got a little sugar. A little crunch. So that replaces your banana, because bananas, man, like, they make my throat itchy. And so I hate that.
Are you allergic?
I don't know. Every time I eat a banana, though, I get
You may be allergic.
That stuff is bananas.
I need to watch out for that. I'm going to say one last thing, though, because I've never done this. I've always wanted to do the old fluffernutter sandwich. You get, some bread, some peanut butter. I would go smooth on this one, and then you just take a big wallop of marshmallow cream, and you get the fluffernutter. You go real crazy. You get the old fluffernutter with a twist, and you throw in some Nutella. So
I would eat the one that Steve Carell made before that sandwich.
The fluff Nutella nutter.
Never a fluffernutter.
Fluff Nutella nutter.
Dude, that's impressive. Well, Taylor, what about you? I didn't mean to cut you off. Usually I'm used to not including you, but what do you, I want to include you. I'm an equal opportunist.
Thank you. I would totally eat that. I grew up eating peanut butter and banana sandwiches, but it was creamy peanut butter. I've never tried it with honey. That would be intriguing. And I haven't tried it with crunchy. That's also intriguing. I don't know if you remember Face from Nickelodeon. Mm-hmm. Like Nick, it was, a morning thing when we were kids. He ate peanut butter and banana sandwiches. So that's why I tried it. And that's where you like it. I was talking with someone and maybe giving her a little crap for taking that to work the other day for lunch. But I was also very much jealous because that sounded wonderful. So I needed to get some bananas.
Last thing I'll say, and this changed my life in college, and this is free for y'all. This is not with you all, but also the listeners. I roomed with a guy named Adam who I walked in and he's making a peanut butter sandwich one day, and he put peanut butter on both slices of bread. And I was like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "Oh, dude, peanut butter on both sides, put the jelly on, and then put it together." I have never made a sandwich I've never made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that's not had peanut butter on both slices of bread since. I changed sandwich game for me completely.
I really thought I'd mastered it, but I will try anything once with peanut butter, and I will do that.
Guys, should we just cancel this one and talk about peanut butter sandwiches for
or just take our break right now? Come back. We won't be able to burn our mouths. We'll just be closed with peanut butter, but it'll be great.
I feel like Coffee House now has to have something.
If they don't, Haley, you're dropping the ball.
Dropping the ball. You and Bradley would be dropping the ball. Just kidding, Bradley. We love him. So I'll come back to the movie on this.
Okay.
There was, remember, so they're going to the family reunion, and they all get in the car. She goes, Steve Carell, Dan, obviously that's his name. He goes to this coffee shop type place where his middle daughter is kind of in cahoots with this. How old is this kid? I mean,
I don't know.
He's like, he seems like he's like 18 or 20. But anyway, she's in love. They're in love. They're about to kiss, and he just like bangs on the windows and just completely embarrasses her. She comes out. They're driving away, and then the fourth grader, it seems to be on par with a lot of movies we watch. She drops this nugget of knowledge. She says, "Dad, you're a really good father, but sometimes you're a bad dad." And I resonate with that a lot. Personally, with my own fatherness, not my dad. Personally, I feel like I'm a good father, but the other day I've been in a bad dad mood before. But I just thought that was brilliant. That's a great line. You're a good father. And I was watching it on Father's Day. So what in the world?
Oh, that's tough. Yeah. So I think that's a good segue you talking about, because we need to, for those of you who haven't seen it, number one, you should. But number two, we need to kind of set up your expectations. There's 3 daughters. His oldest daughter, She's a nice girl. All she wants to do is drive the car. Like, that's it. That's all she wants. Then you've got the middle daughter. All she wants to do is be in love. Her dad doesn't understand. She's in love. She just wants to be with this boy. And then the youngest, she's just like, she's still daddy's little girl. She still just she loves her dad, but she's also like, it's funny. She's probably like the glue of the family right now, because as the movie goes on, that girl brings everyone together. Mm-hmm. That's the one. So that's kind of their dynamic.
And that's right on par with a lot of the movies we watched. The youngest is the one who's like very like centered.
For sure. And we learn right at the beginning that Dan, I think Taylor touched on this. He's an advice columnist. He's kind of like was it Ann Flanders?
Dear Abby,
I don't know. One of them, maybe both. But that's basically what he does. Is you write in, he helps people with their problems, and he's great at it. Like, you can see all these accolades on his wall as the movie comes on. So he lets his daughters out of school for a couple days, and they're going to like their family's house in where are they?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. And
what a beautiful drive that was.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I told Claude watched it with me, and I was thinking we need to take a trip to. I never desired to go to Rhode Island except just to mark it off the list. But now I feel like it could actually be. It's awesome. Not. It wouldn't just be a drive-through and just like you sneak in and say, "Hey, we've been there." It would be a like, let's stay there. It's a little harbor town, wherever they were. It was on a little harbor. It's nice.
It was awesome. Taylor, you got anything for this beginning?
I don't know that I have anything to add at this point, but well, I'll just say this: I was immediately hating that middle daughter. Her reaction to and I love that we really get to come back to that more. It wasn't just awful; it was so pleasantly awful to watch. Yes. Her meltdowns are unbelievable, and it was a good sign of things to come.
And one of the things, so she was telling her dad how she loved this guy, and he wasn't letting her be with him. And she says to him, it just came all of a sudden, like, I didn't really care for him in the beginning, but like by day 3, I was in love. And Steve Carell says, you can't fall in love in 3 days. Mm. And that is a big board movie. Like, big. Brandon, you're typing a novel over there. You got anything to add to the beginning of this movie?
I love New England. I like lobsters. And I agree. Like, sometimes as a dad, you just got to back off and let your kids find love. And sometimes they make mistakes, but they get up and they walk again.
Thank you. I don't know who he agreed with, because none of us made that point. But
I've been holding this pose for a while. This is my foreshadowing pose because it's my forehead and it's in the shadow.
That's good. That's good. So I think, Taylor, you touched on they make it to the house, right? And we just barely get introduced to the family.
Well, it just says that they're going there. Yeah. It just says that they're headed there.
The next paragraph begins at the bookshop.
All right, let's move on.
Cool. So the morning after their arrival, Dan meets Marie in a bookshop. They share a muffin and a heartfelt chat, although Marie gently warns Dan that she has a boyfriend. Dan returns to his parents' house and announces that he has met someone. Brother Mitch introduces his new girlfriend, who turns out to be Dan's Marie. Dan is disheartened and resists his father's relationship advice about finding someone of his own.
Pause. Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the book scene. I thought Steve Carell was really funny. She goes up and she's like, hey, I want a book that has all these really cool things. She's like really deep. I think I'm saying that right. Like, just really asking for really complex topics. Yeah. And so he picks out all these random books. And it was a joke. He just picked out random books. So I thought that was funny. And then I think a first date, like sharing a muffin, it's like a dream. I can't imagine another first date. It was a big
muffin.
God, it was a glorious looking muffin.
Berry muffin.
The only thing I'd do different is maybe you just get 2 muffins, because then you can eat your muffin and then have her muffin. That's the only thing I'd do different.
All right. Wow. Before we get to the bookstore, let's talk a little bit about the family, because there's a big family dynamic there.
Yeah.
I don't know who's like, I want to say, so Dane Cook is one of the brothers. He's the one, Mitch. As Taylor said, Mitch, who ends up being with the girl that Steve flirts with. Is the other guy a brother or like?
I think he's a brother.
Okay, I couldn't
pianist.
tell how they were because there's like 4 or 5 couples there. It feels like you got the dad from Frasier, you got his mom. I've seen her in a million.
She was in Life in Pieces most recently.
One of them, his sisters, is Holly from The Office, which was weird to watch. Like,
Wait, Holly on The Office was there?
yeah,
I think she was the sister-in-law.
Okay, so yeah,
But
Wait,
yeah,
Holly Flax?
yeah.
Holly Flax is in that?
yeah. Not only is she in this. This came out in 2007. She appears at the end of season 4 of The Office, which would have aired in like May of 2008, according to what I looked up.
Wait a minute.
So that following,
We didn't watch the same movie.
You really don't remember?
this is
No.
their first interaction on screen
Yeah.
before Holly and Michael.
I'm going to do cast. I'm looking.
How
this up.
about that?
Yeah. So she was like his, and then you've got like 2 other ladies and this one husband who's constantly telling Steve Carell how like you need to grow, like your life is miserable.
So that guy is married to his sister, I think, right? And she is she's Carol's lesbian lover in Friends.
Yes. Okay.
Oh,
And then-
that's where I know her from.
So but then I never saw Holly. So I am shook right
So
now.
the other
Completely
brother,
shook.
yeah, he's married to Holly. Then the one that sings at the piano later.
So I'm looking at her face in these pictures, and it is Holly.
Well, yeah, like we're not lying. She's there.
That I'm shocked I never saw that. That's a great find.
There's a little bit more.
There's a lot
Office
of
to
people
come
there
in this.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, there's and
Just
so
a little, but there's a little more.
so we get to this house, you meet all this family, and then they're like, "Oh, Dan, your brother's got a guest, and we don't let guests sleep together. So you're going to be in the special room, which is basically like the laundry room with like a string right above his head. And this is the night before he goes out. But it's just another like thing where it looks like Dan just can't win.
Mhm.
Like that's the underlying tone of this whole movie is this is a guy who helps everyone else and he just can't catch a break. And so then he goes on this date, and like Brandon says, it's funny. This girl comes in, she's asking for a book. He picks out 1 billion of them. They eat a muffin. It's a big muffin.
And she, just to jump in, she thinks that he works there
For sure.
And, which I wrote down. This is so smooth. Like Dan was a champ in this, like just picking out stuff and then like just casually saying, "Man, I don't work here." I just started picking stuff up. Like I thought, props. Like that is very nice.
And she buys them all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She buys every book. Like, so he's nailing it. And then they go out to eat. And they don't really tell in the movie, but it feels like they're together for hours.
Mhm.
Like, it just feels like it's nonstop. Taylor, you got anything with all this?
I don't know if I have anything to add here. But I mean, we haven't quite gotten to the part where I guess I read it when we show up and it's, maybe that's when we need to transition to, but
Yeah,
when
go
he
ahead.
gets home, when he gets back and he's got the newspapers, which is what he was sent out for. His mom sent him out, get papers. And which I really enjoy. That comes up a little later of why they got those papers, what was important for the family. But
That's cool.
he's just got this look on him. He's got that look on his face of something real good just happened, and he's getting grilled by his siblings, like all siblings ought to do when they see that look on someone's face. And obviously, it's about a girl, and it's going on and on and on and on. And it's just great. And
Everyone's
feel so
rooting for
stupid.
him.
Right. And I felt so stupid
Yeah.
because I didn't see what was coming. This is the one time I feel like in this movie that I was surprised by what happened. But I was never annoyed when I wasn't surprised. But I was taken aback. And I was like, oh, crap, this is going to be like a Scott's Tots episode. I'm just going to be cringing through most of this.
Brandon, anything?
No.
Okay. All right.
I got one more thing. I thought so. It's small, but he gets pulled over right on his way home.
Yes.
Which allows her time to get there. I thought that there's a couple of instances that I wrote down where there's small little nuanced things that when you think about the timeline of things, like they weren't arriving at the same time, which would make sense that he would never see her like until the moment where they actually meet. Well, like when he finds out that she's dating Mitch. And I as soon as it happened, I thought, man, that's a really
I
cool
didn't
little
catch
setup.
that. That's smart.
Did you recognize the cop?
Is he Glee guy?
Yeah, he's
I
Mr.
thought that was the
Schuster
guy
from Glee.
Yeah, it looked like. I didn't watch that, but I thought
Never
that
seen
was
it.
him. All right,
Yeah,
so I
me
think
neither.
that gets us through that paragraph, right, Taylor?
Yes.
So this is about the time where we're going to take a break. We're going to meet our friends at the coffee house, see what's going on. Hopefully, it's going to be peanut butter and honey related.
It should be.
We
It
don't
should
know. We don't know. We'll find out. We'll be right back.
Hello, Talk to Remember friends. It's me, Haley. I've been on some podcast episodes before. Maybe you remember, maybe you don't. It's okay. But what you probably do remember is the coffee house. We're the sponsors of this podcast. And something that we wanted to let you know, it's super exciting. We're reopening Monday, May 4th. Here's a little information about that. So we will be open to in-dining, limited capacity, but we will also be offering curbside. So just give us a call at the coffee house and tell us you want it curbside, and we'll bring it to you. Look out for some themed drinks that we're going to be doing with the guys from Talk to Remember. Follow us at the Coffee House Franklin on Instagram. Our address is 144 2nd Avenue North. If you get confused, there's a little construction going on. See the construction? You're at the coffee house. That's the coffee house in downtown Franklin.
And we're back. All right. Coffee House, we're counting on you this week. But right now, we've got a lot of movie to talk about. Taylor, just give me a quick rundown of what's coming up so we know if we're going to miss anything.
It looks like coming up next, we're going to have a double date situation.
Okay.
Oh man.
There's
Yeah,
a lot
we're
we need to
skipping a
cover.
bit.
Yeah. So
Taylor teased. Yeah, he teased the papers. Tell us about the
explain
papers.
that.
So they got multiple copies of the same paper, so they can break up into teams broken by gender and do a crossword puzzle race. I would
Sick.
suck
I
at
love
that,
it.
but I love the idea of it. I'm terrible at those.
Loser
Oh, I
does
thought it
dishes.
was awesome.
Yeah. It was
so good.
brilliant.
They were all so into it.
Especially us. We're all friends here. We're the most competitive people we know. If there was some kind of race with us in another group, we're gonna be all.
Oh, we'd win.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
I feel bad for them. They would lose.
But what
It
I
was
like
us.
about this, because it's a cool scene with the crossword anyway. But we've just met the girl. I'm blanking on her name.
Marie.
Marie.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, it's Anna Marie, isn't it?
It is Anne
Yeah,
Marie.
something like that.
And he calls her Annie, and she doesn't care for it. Everyone else calls her Marie, but Mitch calls her Annie. But this is another thing you need to know about this scene. So she knew she was coming to spend a weekend with Mitch. He did not tell her about the whole family. They bring that up. And so
Rookie
this is a
move.
woman that's just been thrown into this world that she is not ready for. And they're doing this crossword thing, and she wins everyone else.
She's killing it.
She is on fire out there. Meanwhile, inside with the guys, Steve Carell, who is always the champ at this, cannot quit thinking of Marie outside. And so they're getting killed. He's still trying to wrap his head around what has happened here.
There was some more foreshadowing in the very end of the crossword
Yes.
puzzle, where they go. I think it was 10 letters for anything that can go wrong, will go wrong. They don't give you the answer, but it's Murphy's Law. And I heard that
Dude,
one.
I
Oh,
wrote it
my
down.
word.
I did not catch that.
So good.
Y'all are
Yeah.
really good movie watchers. I
That
want to
was-
say something that was genius, but another thing I want to say is I just love the New England feel. I've been to Boston once, and I got the New England vibes from this.
Yeah.
I love their little cottage, and I love their just family fun-filled adventures. They're not just watching TV and YouTube. They're playing games, interacting, and dadgummit, I loved it. It was great. So let's get a cabin, play some games.
For sure.
Also, I mean, Dane Cook. You guys want to hear a funny joke?
Yeah.
Dane Cook.
Uh-huh.
No, I loved Dane Cook. I mean, that dude disappeared. When 2010 came around, Dane Cook was nowhere to be found. I don't know where.
You don't even
I
know.
where he's been.
Wait, so you did like Dane Cook?
I like Dane Cook in general. I like it. I like Dane Cook. Yeah.
I
That
never
Vicious
cared
Circle
for the
bit
guy.
was great.
But
I
in
like
this
him.
movie, I just love him.
Oh, I thought he was. What's the movie where he's the doctor and
Good Luck,
everything?
Chuck.
Good Luck, Chuck. I thought he was good in that. I think it's decent.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's decent.
So here's a few things about Dane Cook you might want to know. He's 48 years old. He's from Cambridge, Massachusetts, and he has been dating Kelsey Taylor for a little while. And last thing that I'll say about Dane is that he was in American Exit in 2019. So, but none of
so there he is. He's not disappeared.
Wikipedia, everybody.
I was really disappointed though at that talent show that he didn't get up there and do a little freewheeling stand up. But
Oh no,
that was too much.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
So, it's not just crossword puzzles. Like they play lots of games. They're hide and seek in the house, like all kinds of stuff, which gives it plenty of time to get awkward with Dan and Marie because for what she thinks that they should tell everyone, but because Dan has made a big deal out of meeting a lady, he does not want to tell anyone because he just doesn't want to, like, he doesn't want to get into it. He does. So this whole weekend or whatever it is, it's like that everything's happening with the family, and then they have their thing they're trying to figure out. Like his brother is giving her Dan's book. His brother is building him up to her. Like he's being a wingman without even knowing it, just talking about how great of a dude he is. And Dan is writing that line of like, I really like this girl, but it's my brother's girl. And normally, because I've been like, we've done a bunch of these, you guys know, normally I would hate Dan. Like I would hate all this, but it's Steve Carell and it's so hard to.
What if it was Bill Pullman?
Oh, I rooted a lot for Bill Pullman too.
You rooted for Bill Pullman?
Every time. For sure I did. He got hurt in every movie, Nate.
Oh, I'm thinking his opposite. Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm always Team Pullman. Okay.
Right.
The
dinner.
Oh, the date.
For dinner.
No, not the awkward date.
Sorry.
Where they're at the family dinner and everybody's asking her all these questions and she's just talking about how she's traveled to all these places, she's seen all these things. They're talking about how they fell in love, all this stuff, and Steve Carell's had enough of it, and so he kind of like begins to be a jerk, and he begins to like throw his brother under the bus at this point and really become a douchebag. So
yeah. No, I forgot about this scene, but you're right. Like he buries Dane Cook and everybody in the family.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Scott's thoughts.
Yep.
It
I
is
was going stop.
And so he has to do dishes alone while they all go and do something else. And it leads to another scene the next morning where everyone is in his room. And that's when they tell him that they think. A lot of people tell him a lot of things he needs to do to get over his tension and all this. But his parents say, hey, you need to go out on a date. And a friend has been asking about you, their daughter. I think it's Ruthie something. And we find out like they called her Pigface. And so,
Ruthie Draper.
We don't have a lot of hopes for
Ruthie Pigface Draper.
Is that where we're going into the next paragraph?
That's what. Yep.
Well, but hold on. They write that song about that ad-lib song was so good. What was the song? I just blanked on what the.
They did a lot of the Three Little Pigs in there, but it was.
They did, but what was the song too? I just blanked on that.
I don't know that it was to anything.
I thought it was. Anyway.
Maybe it was. If
it wasn't to Pinball Wizard.
No,
that's one that it wasn't. If it was to one, I never caught it.
I'll see if I can't come up with it. But that scene, like where brothers on the piano, Mitch, who's Dane Cook, is singing, and this is where Dane Cook is shining. Like he's in his comedy side. Like he's not the like lover. He's the comedian, and he's killing it.
And so, yes, they are going, like, there's been several times throughout this. So, okay, wait. So the shower thing happens before this, right? Because he says, I won't make you. So he goes up while she's trying to take a shower. And he's like, listen, this needs to stop. You need to quit doing this, and this. And I will try to quit being so attractive. And like it's such a Michael Scott moment. Like there's so much of like that character, but also like seriousness. And she's like she just kind of writes it off and thinks he's being ridiculous. But as we're about to see on this date, the tides turn a little bit. So Taylor, lead us into that.
So Dan reluctantly agrees to a double date with their once unattractive childhood friend, Pigface Ruthie. Marie jealously watches Dan and Ruthie. The next morning, Dan endures her punishment for his late night with Ruthie by eating the burnt pancakes which she serves him. Tension grows between Dan and Marie, culminating at the family talent show. Dan accompanies Mitch on the guitar as Mitch sings "Let My Love Open the Door." However, during the bridge, Dan begins to sing too, seemingly to Marie. The next morning, Marie breaks up with Mitch. However, Marie and Dan meet to talk at a bowling alley. The meeting evolves into a date and finally a passionate kiss, but unfortunately, Dan's entire family arrives to bowl. Ooh. Mitch punches Dan in the face and Marie hurries out. Meanwhile, Dan's middle daughter, Kara, begins to disown him because of his meddling in her relationship with her boyfriend, Marty.
Wow, that is a lot.
We really jumped ahead there, didn't we?
Okay, so let's talk about the date. Pig face shows up, and it's Emily Blunt. So obviously not a pig face. Things are going really well for Dan in this moment. And so they go on this double date. And this is where, like I said, it turns a little bit, and Marie gets a little jealous of Dan with another woman. So anybody got anything about the date?
Oh, dude, the dancing. They're drinking beers, and honestly, I wasn't really sure where Ruthie Pigface was going to land. I thought, so she's obviously very attractive. She's like not a pig face as what anybody was expecting. And I was expecting, she's a doctor. So she's got she's got herself together. But then it turns out she is just a basket case psycho, like just wild. And I wasn't expecting that. But she goes over to the jukebox, she's dancing, and they're daring him to go dance with her. They said, I think Marie says, "You're not going to go over there. You won't go dance with her." And so he gets up and he goes. And this is where Steve Carell, Michael Scott comes out. And it was one of my favorite scenes. Like he's dancing just like he danced at the wedding episode, where Jim and Pam's wedding in I mean, it is.
It's Diwali, Steve.
The Diwali, yes, that one. I mean, it was so, that was one of my favorite scenes, but he starts going nuts and dancing. And then they have like a dance off between Mitch and Marie, and then Dan and
Pigface.
Ruthie. And that's just a really great scene, I thought.
It is. And like, they're just trying to show the other one how happy they are. Like, it's over the top ridiculous. And so they go home. And as soon as that pig face parks her car, Marie's like, "All right, guys, let's go." And Dan's like, "No, I think we're going to go for a ride." And like, you can just see the crush on her face. Like, she's just defeated in this moment. And it's the one time he's got the upper hand the entire movie. So, which leads to the next day. And
this is where the pancakes make an appearance.
Yes. So, Brandon, you're a man of the foods and the pancakes. You want to talk about this scene? Because I'm sure it hurts you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are some things you do to get back at people, but then sometimes you cross the line. And when, what's her name, Marie? Yeah. So she's making really nice pancakes for everybody. And clearly, like, apparently she's an expert. She has
a secret ingredient, right?
Secret ingredients. Like, she knows what she's doing. And then all of a sudden, when it comes to Mr. Dan, a.k.a. Steve Carell, she burns the living daylights out of the pancakes.
Heartless.
Who does she think she is? Has she lost her mind?
Yeah.
Like,
heartless.
Like, people, I unintentionally burn pancakes, and it crushes me. To sit here and burn a pancake deliberately, even out of spite, is ridiculous.
He is fired up, y'all.
She deserves a ticket.
Oh,
where's that police officer? Where was that police officer?
He should go to prison for at least a day.
But you know what? It didn't slow him down, because he picked the whole thing up with a fork and just went to town right in her face.
Here's the thing about pancakes, and joke's on Marie on this one. You throw some butter and plenty of syrup, you're fine. Oh man, so much.
Drown out the char.
A little bit of char is okay, because you almost always char them when you're out like camping and grilled pancakes, so you can handle a little bit
of sugar.
So after this, though, isn't this where they go to the football game? Is it everybody's going out to do the coin flip, and They're
and maybe we missed it. In case we do, I think we need to do this before the football game. But there comes one part where they exercise.
Oh, the Zumba?
The Zumba is ridiculous.
That was early.
Oh, my gosh.
He can't keep up, but so just that whole scene is hilarious.
Yeah.
Steve Carell trying to do Zumba. But afterwards, Mitch and Marie go for a run. And so to just kind of clear his head, he wants to take his daughters out. But they won't go. They won't have anything to do with him. So he takes his youngest daughter, who still loves him, and he kidnaps the two other little kids. And he wants to show them a good time. But everywhere he takes them is like just it's not what he remembered, or it's shut down, or it's closed.
It's closed, yeah.
And so they end up at the lighthouse. And this lighthouse comes back. So we do need to touch on that.
Yeah.
He takes him to the lighthouse, and he kind of explains what a lighthouse does. And I can't remember what he says, but I know. Does anybody remember kind of the sentiment there?
I'll be honest, I didn't realize they went to a lighthouse.
It was something about the light protect. He does talk about love, I think, in that moment, right? He talks about how the lighthouse protects, like it lets you know what's where the land is, so that you don't hit it or something like that. It's like a protection thing. Like the lighthouse is meant to protect the boats that are coming.
Yes,
around.
for sure. It like kind of guides and protects them. So he does touch on that, and I just wanted to touch on that because that's coming back.
Well, and this kind of spurs Lily along here to do something fairly special.
Right.
It sends her into, like, she's paying attention, and she's smelling what he's stepping on, and if you feel me, and so she's definitely taking note.
So they come back. I think this is when, like, I'm sure a few other little things happen, but then they have the football game after the pancakes. And it's on. Like, so him and Dan and Marie are on different teams, but they are all about, like, guarding and tackling each other to the point where everyone can see what's going on, except for maybe Mitch, who I'm not sure ever caught on what was going on. But, yeah, Taylor, Nate, Brandon, anybody with the football scene?
Well, I just love a family football game. Like, it just looked like a lot of fun. I've always dreamed of doing that. But, man, it was over the top. And how humbling for Dan when your own daughter says, look, I can see what's going on. You got to just stop. Like, how humiliating.
Yeah, because they tackle each other and it lingers. It's like a lingered, very.
It was excessive force.
And then she flips him over, and it's like, I thought they were going to kiss right there. But
for sure.
She gets up, and that's when she comes down. Is it Jane, the older one? The older daughter sits him down and is like, "Hey, you need to stop. Like, it's clear." That's what I was going to say, Brandon. Like that, it gets to the point where it's evident to everybody, including his oldest daughter, that he's flirting with her, and it's not fair. The whole family loves Marie, and which just fuels all of this like tension for Dan, because he loves. Well, he that's the girl. Like that was the one who he saw at the bookstore. So
well, and we've seen a ton of where Marie is interacting with his daughters and being like a mother to them. And it's that's got to fuel. I mean, that longing, the loss he has for his wife, and here's a woman.
Yes, because she's helping with the special project that Nate kind of alluded to that we're going to see about in a bit. And the fact that she helps with that, I think, is just so cool.
So when does the talent show come up?
But before we get there, there's two other things, and I'm pretty sure they're before, so I want to touch on them. There's one where he finds out that he could be like syndicated. Like his thing is going to be everywhere. So it's a big deal to him. Like he's super excited. They're coming to the house that weekend to meet the entire family to decide if they're going to pick his column up. But the other, and I can't remember exactly when this happens, but I know he's helping put up the canoes and he sees all the kids kind of peering over a rock towards the lake. And so he goes down there and looks. An old dude from the coffee shop at the beginning,
Marty,
hitchhiked his way to be with the daughter that he loves. And Carell is just not having it. Like he is sending that kid packing. So as he does, the kid says, like, I want to say how the line goes. Like, love is not.
It's not an act.
Love is not a feeling. It's an ability.
Yes, that's what it is. And so he sends him away, and she takes off running, chasing that car.
Oh my gosh.
And turns around and says, "You are a murderer of love," which to me is one of the funniest parts of the movie, because then he goes in, and this is where the talent show's about to start, and he said, "Sign me up." And they said, "As what?" And he says, "Murderer of love." Like, that was my favorite. That might have been, like, to me, the funniest part of the movie. That's probably what we're going to call this thing, is Murderers of Love. But it's fantastic, which leads us into the talent show. And so I guess this is the other thing about this movie. Normally, when you see a family movie or a family TV show or anything, there's somebody that just does not want to be there. But they just love each other. Mm-hmm. And they do these crosswords, they play football, Zumba, and now they're doing a talent show, and everyone is excited. Like, everyone participates. We've got the parents who, like, one of them pretends to be a dummy, and they're like ventriloquists. We've got the little girls who do the cup thing. I think there's an opera thing. The lover girl dedicates this to the boy that was sent away and ties the cherry stem with her tongue.
Oh, it's a great moment.
And then Dane Cook, he wants to sing for Marie. And he gets Dan to play for him. And apparently Dan has not done anything since his wife has died. So, like, that's a big, everyone was shocked that he went out there to do it. And Dane says, before he starts, he kind of introduces it. And he's like, "I wanted to do something special for Marie. And my brother, the smartest man I ever know, says, if you really want to tell someone how you feel, you sing it." And so then that leads into this moment where they sing "Let My Love Open the Door," but it turns into a duet that turns into they're both singing to the same girl. Like, it's a powerful scene.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. Like, Steve Carell at first is just trying to help Dane Cook through it. But then at the end, when you think it's over, he just keeps going. And it's almost like he's cry singing.
It's classic worship leader ending every song. Strip it away, slow it down, sing the refrain one more time.
But it got me. It pulled me in. Like, I felt I wanted her to pick him right then. Brandon?
I just love that they do a bunch of activities together. Like, that's one thing I love about this movie, is his family is just so close knit. As far as Steve Carell's moment, I thought it was really sweet, and I also love that he was willing to help out Dane. Like, that was really a tough moment. Mm-hmm. So it was good scene.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'd like your opinions on this. Like, I think in the moment, he really just kind of wanted to help his brother, and I think once he got out there, it turned into, "Hey, I'm shooting my shot too." Do you guys think that was always the intention, or do you think like?
Go ahead, Taylor.
I'm with Mikey. I think it was a change of plan. I think it was just as it went. I don't think he really wanted to be there. I don't think he really wanted to be up there playing guitar. He just took he let his brother get him into it, and then the emotions happened.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he wanted to help his brother out, and I want to say, and I could be off, I think wasn't there like a moment or a conversation where it just seemed like he was kind of resigned to the fact that, like, I just gotta let her go, just gotta let Mitch, do his thing.
For sure.
And then he starts singing the song. I pulled up the lyrics to that song, and this is the part so it all ends like, "Let my love open the door, let my love open the door." They go with that, and then it ends, and then he comes back in by himself, and he does this last verse, and it says, "When tragedy befalls you, don't let it drag you down. Love can cure your problems. You're so lucky I'm around." And he's like singing this by himself on the guitar, like looking at Marie. Marie's crying, and it's like, oh boy, something's about to go down.
I remember the first time I saw it, like, this is the moment that got me. Because at this point, this was way before these podcasts, and I never caught myself watching too many romance movies, but I found myself in this one, and I was like, this was like, it just made me feel. And I wasn't used to that. And so I loved that. Then she comes to his room like that night, and she's like, "What were you doing?" Because the whole family sees at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Again, except Mitch. I don't think he has a clue. And so everyone sees it. She comes in there and she's like, why would you sing to me? Because they even told her, hey, he hasn't done anything since his wife died. Like, they brought that up to her, and she's like, why would you sing to me? And he's like, I don't know. He apologized. He was like, this has got to end. And then she starts quoting his book to him.
Mm-hmm.
He says something about my eyes saw an angel and something else, which were all things Mitch said to her. And she said, all his best lines were yours. Mm-hmm. So all these things that she fell for, he had just regurgitated from Steve Carell. And that's just like a moment where it's, I mean, sure, what he's doing is wrong, but you're rooting for him, like, big time. And so they wake up the next morning and she's out in her car and she's leaving him. It's over. And that's the point where I think he finally goes to see his daughter, who's been wanting to show him some things for a couple days. No, isn't it?
No, I think it is. He blew it off again.
He goes to find her at the bowling alley. She calls him. Mm-hmm. They're doing something. They're playing like charades or fishbowl. And Dane Cook gets up there and he's like, whatever, he's talking to her on the phone. And then she does something. Oh, she's got really dreamy eyes, blah, blah, blah. And someone yells out, Marie. And then Mitch crumbles. And then it's at that point that he kind of takes off and goes to the bowling alley and they meet up. And it's like a little date. The old lady behind the counter turns down the lights, turns up the music. They're on all day. And then that's when the family comes in as they're celebrating a strike.
Kissing. I think the first kiss, everyone walks in. She runs out because she's just crushed that it happened. And Mitch, Dane Cook, just decks him, like lets him have it. And he should have. Like, he deserved that. And so I think he gets pulled over again on his way back.
I think he does, yeah.
Yep,
and
he does.
When he gets home.
No, he got pulled over on his way there. Isn't that when he leaves the bowling alley, he backs into the officer's car?
That's right. And
because when he gets that first ticket, he says, put it on my tab.
So
he's
that's
so
right.
love struck.
So he's got the second one, and then you're right. He hits the cop, loses his license, goes back home. That's when the publishers are there. Mm-hmm. And so Steve Carell's got a black eye, a busted lip, and his whole family is there.
Which is interesting because he only got hit once.
It's true.
Well, I think it's supposed to be from hitting the steering wheel when he backed into the cop.
Unless Dane Cook has the Hulk size, Bruce Banner size hand. He's got a busted lip and a black eye from one single punch.
I think he hit his head on the steering wheel when he backed into the cop's car. He went forward.
We'll pretend that's it.
Are you being sarcastic?
I mean, that's serious. That's what I assumed it was. Because otherwise, you're 100% right. I mean, he hit the car hard enough that they had to tow away the cop car.
Taylor, I thought the same thing, man.
No,
I'm on team, Anthony.
You forgot to even hit a cop.
He's a clean boy.
It does seem ridiculous. He doesn't.
Dadgummit.
I don't feel like he went far enough.
Maybe he busted his lip on the steering wheel.
Yeah. The eye is definitely from the punch. Oh, and I think he hit his lip.
I got you.
Yeah,
that's a little bit believable. I thought you were saying
like they had to tow the cop car away. He obviously hit it pretty hard, or it's a little plot hole.
A little bit.
I'll allow it. He gets home.
Yeah, it goes back to the house, right? And then this is when his family's his girls are just crushing, like being daughters in this moment.
Yes, over the top. The one that's so mad at him is serving like
hot cider.
Dane Cook is right there, just talking about how great his brother is. Even
tongue in cheek, he was kind of.
But like he wasn't going to come out and do it. Like you're right. And so they're talking about why they wanted it to be Steve Carell, saying that he's has the most morals, he's the most family oriented, he's this, that, and the other. And he just confesses. Like he's like, somebody needs to read his own articles. And I think he walks away.
Yeah.
And so you don't see anything else about them. That's when he goes to see his daughter.
Yeah.
And the oldest two will not let him in there. They're like, you've been flirting with someone else's girl. You've treated us like crap. But worst of all, you hurt Lily. She's been trying to show you something for a couple days. You wouldn't see it. And Lily slides it under the door. And he sits on the stairs. He unties it. And it's like this cardboard thing that's a lighthouse. And it's got him and his daughters at the bottom, but the light is their mother. and she's been like the protector and the one guiding them. And he's just wrecked. Like, he is a wreck. And he goes downstairs, and his parents like, "Oh, she gave it to you," and I think they kind of encourage him because he says, "I've been horrible." And they encourage him or whatever, and he goes back up to apologize to his daughters first. And I can't remember how this scene went, so if anybody wants to tag in, that's fine.
Well, he asks to talk to Lily alone, and they go sit beside her, and he starts talking. And this is where I think what you're getting at, where he starts talking about, "No, I know what you're saying, blah 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 blah."
He vows to just be alone.
Mm-hmm.
At first.
He grounds himself to be with them for always, which could have been put better.
But he's like, I'll be alone. Even though blah, 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 and I love her. And I love her. And then he realizes, somebody says, "How long have you it might have been the middle daughter."
Oh yeah.
"How long have you known her?" And he's like, 3 days. And so it kind of ties back to the beginning of the movie. Yeah. But they tell him to go. It starts with the youngest. I think again, it's like, you need to go.
She says, "Go now." She like whispers her now, and so she goes, but he can't drive.
So I wonder how that's going to resolve itself.
Didn't see that coming.
This older daughter who has been begging to drive, who helps him chase her, and they all get in. They all go. I want to
New York City.
Yes. Before they take off, though, him and Mitch kind of reconcile. Mitch was like, "If it was anyone else, I'd hate you," and or whatever. Then honk, honk, honk. There's Pig-Face Draper out in their car. Mitch is going to be fine.
He rebounds quick.
He's going to be okay.
Hey, it's good luck, Chuck, man.
That's right.
They head off to New York, and as he walks up to the window and sees her.
Hold on.
Of his columns.
His daughter has never driven, and she's now going to drive from Rhode Island into New York City, downtown, over the Brooklyn Bridge, and now she's going.
Let's go.
Talk about being thrown into the fire.
It probably worked out because of that cop car.
No, I'm not saying that's a plot hole. I'm saying no better way to learn than driving in New York City.
Oh, she definitely. That's like learning to drive on 65. I don't want that life.
No, New Yorkers are decent drivers, so it's very different.
Whatever. So he's walking up, he sees her in the window, and he's reading one of his articles. I can't remember what the last line is. It's like, "Expect to be surprised," or something along that line, but it's like tying up how life doesn't go the way you want it to. And then it goes to the credits, but it comes back to the house and there's a wedding. And so I guess they get married. And everyone's there, including Mitch and Pigface. It's basically everyone that was there, plus the daughter's boyfriend gets to come and this weird band. And that's it. That's the movie. So has anybody got anything else before we start wrapping up?
The nice wedding.
Was a nice
very
wedding.
nice wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a lot of original music that was written just for this this movie. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name of the band.
It's like Sandra Lurch.
They wrote a lot of the music for it, which I thought was awesome.
That is pretty cool. I had no idea. I think we just jump right into it because we've covered it. So Taylor, this is the point where Bradley would give us his final thoughts. He would tell us what he would do to make it more guy-friendly, and he would give his butterfly tattoo scale, and you have to do all that. Go.
Okay.
Don't disappoint.
You can do it.
Final thoughts. I really enjoyed this movie. I am so thankful that I'd forgotten most of it, just because it was a great, almost first time kind of watching it again. But I did keep waiting for the pancakes. That might be one of my biggest disappointments in this movie. I thought I had forgotten completely. I know we brought that up way earlier, but it was kind of constant in my mind. When we finally got to the pancakes, I'm like, well, that's significant. I don't know if it's movie cover worthy, but the movie cover is phenomenal at the same time. Let's see.
Who's your favorite character?
Favorite character? I think it might be Kara, the lovesick girl. I enjoyed her so much. Every time she opened her mouth, I was just laughing. I was laughing at her, never with her, but I enjoyed just about every moment of that. It's just pretty wonderful, and oh gosh, it was terribly wonderful. Let me jump over to Guy Friendly. I don't have a ton for this, so I was only asked a little bit before we started. But the thing that came to my mind would be more Guy Friendly. I feel like I would just switch Marie's character with Emily Blunt's. And so I'd be rooting much harder for Michael or Dan to end up with John Krasinski's wife. Not at the time. That's where we get a little bit more of The Office in here. It's about the only thing I can think of, because I don't know that you need to.
It is pretty Guy
It's
friendly.
great.
Yeah.
And for having Dane Cook in it, I thought when I saw him, I had some more negative expectations that this was going to get a lot dirtier, and we're going to get a lot more cheap shot humor. I do think he's a really good comedian at times, but I also know that that's at times. And I felt like they stayed away from that, and he just acted. I didn't feel like he was Dane Cook. He was Mitch. And the movie's great. So Butterfly Tattoos, I think I give it a 4.5.
Okay. All right. Coming in
I
strong.
thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay. Nate.
Okay, so my favorite character, I think, only because I think somebody else is probably going to take Steve Carell, and they should. I'm going to go with Dane Cook. I really liked him, and he's in a few movies that I think we see a side of him that isn't just potty humor, or not potty humor, like whatever, like kind of vulgar,
Crude, yeah.
And I think he did a really good job. I think you get the sense that he's Dane Cook, but it's not in a way that I would be uncomfortable watching it with my wife or with like my students or something like that, right. which is really cool. So I really liked his flexibility overall and being able to do a movie like that. I think so. When it comes to comps, man, this one I've got a smattering, okay, of comps, and then at the end I'm going to kind of tie it to my final thoughts. So let me go on and rate it. I'm going to give it a solid 4. I really liked the movie, and it was so good. Like that 4, I feel like as soon as I said that, it was like, oh, why wasn't it a 5? I thought it was a really fantastic movie, and honestly, one that I would watch again. It's got the comedy in it. It's got the you're really pulling for, like, you feel so much for Dan and his relationship with Marie. You want that to succeed, and it's just really good. I love the family dynamic. Everybody in that cabin reminded me of my own family when we had Thanksgiving and things like that. So I really enjoyed it. So here are some of my comps. Okay. I've got like a lot. Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, immediately when they're driving to Rhode Island, I didn't know they were driving to Rhode Island, but just judging by the shoreline, I thought they were on the East Coast going somewhere. And I immediately went to Nicholas Sparks' Safe Haven, like when they end up in this little harbor town, like and also you've got the young child who's kind of the voice of reason, and so there's a lot of things that a couple things that kind of pull that out for me. The While You Were Sleeping, it's got the element of like the torn between the brothers, and so it's a small thing. Again, this is going to be like a really
right, for sure
broadcast. Wedding Crashers. Like Maryland, the football game, just the relationship dynamic between Dan and his brother, and I know it's not a brotherly, but just the fight over the girl. Let's see, the family dynamic reminded me of About Time, like the family dynamic in About Time. Just like there was no point when you were like you said, I forgot who said it, but nobody wanted to be there, or there was any kind of the only trouble that we really saw was. What the whole movie was about was Dan and Marie and Mitch and that little triangle thing. And then finally, the Dane Cook, the Good Luck Chuck, the fact that Dane Cook dated, and the whole premise of Good Luck Chuck is that he would sleep with a girl, and then the next guy that girl would be with, she would end up marrying. And the same thing happened here in this movie. The sense that I feel, this is not a movie, but a TV show. The sense that I got when I was watching this was the same feelings I had towards Parenthood. like just the family, strong family bonds, loud family, obnoxious, but really, really like I felt myself like, man, that's a really cool family. I'd love to be a part of that. And so here's the other movies that I kind of tied me to, which really went me to my final thoughts. So 10 Things I Hate About You, To All the Boys I Loved Before. What do those movies have in common with this?
10 Things and All the Boys.
Think specifically about the Dan's character, the dad. So I started thinking, I paused the movie and asked Claudia this question. Why is it that we always see movies like this and it's always a guy with girls? Some movies, like in Safe Haven, it's the guy with a guy and a girl, but the boy is just so little. His real there's a lot of these movies where it's mostly a guy and three guys. And so I started thinking, like, why is it? Like, and part of it, I believe, is that if it was a guy and three boys, everybody would be like, man, he got this. Like, he's a dude. Like, he'll get this. And man, it was Father's Day when I'm watching this movie, and I just started thinking about. And I'm sorry if I get a little emotional, but like the fact that like he's sitting in front of his girls, like just completely vulnerable and completely humbling himself before them. And it was the most human like moment where, Mikey, you said that you felt whenever he was singing that song. Mm-hmm. And that moment, like I felt, and I was like, man, he is being like, this is a moment where he is completely out of his league. Like he cannot, we just, as a father of a daughter, there are just some things that I'll never be able to fully understand about what it means to be a dad. But I have Claudia, and she can fill in those gaps. And he doesn't have that, and he realizes that he's kind of wrecked it. He's seen Taylor. You mentioned he's seen the Marie play parts, like small little parts of how of being a mom, and like in that moment when he's just humbling himself before the girls, I just like. The first movie I've cried in that we've watched. And and it wasn't like tears of like just sadness, but it was just like this movie painted humanity. And you saw like, yeah, the guy, Murphy's Law, like you saw that come to play in so many aspects. And then this realization of like, man, I don't have it. And here I am writing parenting, like articles on how to be a better parent. And I'm not even adhering to them. And that moment right there, again, going back to that line, you're a good father, but sometimes you're a bad dad. Like it hit me. And man, I just started thinking about my little girl and just the points where I just will love them so much to do anything for my kids, but specifically my girl, because I'm thinking about this movie. And he says he's going to ground himself forever and he wants to be their dad. He wants to be that. And I just, man, this movie made me feel, and again, I think part of it was the Father's Day. It was just the fact that I've got a little girl, and I just started thinking about, man, there's going to be moments in my life when I'm not going to be able to understand fully, like, and I'm thankful that I have Claudia to be able to stand in the gap. And I couldn't imagine being in a position like Dan was, where he's having to navigate those waters. So I really loved it. The thing that kind of my final thoughts was, I think that when you see a man who is a dad to three girls, everybody kind of pits the man in an impossible situation. Not because of anything wrong, but just because it's guy and a girl. And whereas maybe it would be similar. I think it would be similar if it was a girl raising three boys, but there's just something so sweet, something so human about that really struck me in a way that I wasn't expecting, because the movie was really funny and it's fun. Like crying in that moment was it just felt so weird for me, because it wasn't like it was super sad. He was owning up to everything, and it was a really sweet moment. But I just felt for him in a way that I hadn't felt, before. So anyway, those were my final thoughts. Sorry about the length of that.
That's great. I'll go. Brandon's probably still trying to think of a song, so I'll give him a minute. I don't have unsung hero. I think that this one is the most obvious unsung hero that we've ever done. I'm curious what Brandon, I think I've already told him, but Taylor, Nate, if I had to throw that at you right now, who would you think was the unsung hero? Just off the top of your head. I want to see if you're even in the ballpark of who it actually is. So
You're making me second. Yeah, my gut was going to say.
Do your gut. Go.
Well, I was going to say Mitch.
Okay. All right. Taylor?
But now that I know that that's not the case because you were saying you're not in the same ballpark.
I mean, I was thinking Mitch too, but I didn't think you were going to say that because I thought maybe that would be.
Couldn't be more wrong. Let me tell you who the unsung hero of this movie is. A character that probably didn't even get a name. He was the bookstore owner. And this is why. Had that man hung up the phone when he needed to, she wouldn't have confused Steve Carell, which led them down the path of the longest first date with someone already in a relationship that made him fall in love with the woman that he was going to meet at the house anyway. Because if he had just met her at the house, he would have never fell for her. He wouldn't have allowed himself. But because he got to meet her in that moment, it took him down the path to finding the woman that he finally helped him get over his wife. So we can't thank that bookstore owner enough. Like, he opened the door for this movie to actually happen. And without him, this movie is 2 hours of
Dan eating non-burnt pancakes.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. So kudos to that man. My favorite character is Dan. And usually that's somebody who I wouldn't root for because I don't like people who I feel like when they're trying to undercut someone else, but it's Steve Carell. And so like you give him a pass, and that kind of leads into my final thought. And I think I brought this up to Nate. Like, I love Steve Carell. I never cared for Dane Cook. So because Steve Carell's kind of the guy that's being dirty and Dane Cook's kind of the good guy, and I dislike him and like him, it kind of evens the playing field for me to be okay with this. Like, so I felt okay with that from the get-go. I love that he's this self-help dude who everything you've said, Nate, like he's having a hard time functioning, and it's because he's doing all this on his own and he's trying to do so well. And he misses his wife. Like, there's just all this mix of emotions. And this is why I think I like this movie, because I went into it, like I told you guys in the beginning with the poster, I didn't know what I was about to watch. I had no idea what this was going to be. But I was super excited because the more I got into it, the more I loved it. And I'm sure if I thought about it, I know I had somebody else and I can't remember who it is, but I've got two of them. This is what it is about Steve Carell. And it's, I don't know if you guys have seen many of this person's movies, but it's like the John Candy effect. I don't know if you guys have watched much John Candy stuff. I loved John Candy because my dad loved John Candy. John Candy is like hilarious. He's a great comic. He's been in tons of really funny movies. But the thing about John Candy and the thing about Steve Carell, and I don't include Tom Hanks and people like that in this list. There's a lot of very dramatic actors who can do comedy very well. And I think at this point in his life, people would consider Tom Hanks more dramatic than comedic. But there aren't a lot of comedic actors that can do drama really well. They can do drama and they can do it fine, but there's something about John Candy and Steve Carell, and I'm sure there's a handful of others, that like when they do a movie like this, they don't have to rely on their funny. They don't have to rely on that part because they can convey so much with just a look that usually you would just see in a dramatic actor. Like they've just mastered it. And so it's somebody that you're going to watch because he's Michael Scott and he does a lot of That's What She Said jokes. And he's a really funny guy. But then you buy into it because you forget he's Michael Scott. Like he can become that other person. And that's rare for a comedic actor. And so that's what I just love about this movie is he was Dan to me. And I was really on that journey. And I just loved it. And so I made a promise to you guys, because I said that I put us down the purgatory that we've been on. I would never give another movie a 5. So I'm going to give this a 4.8, and I'm going to be content with that. Brandon.
Okay, I'm remembering now the stuff that I need to do. I need to tell y'all my favorite character. Yes. Okay, so my favorite character is the Family Games. I think that was just so fun. It reminded me of all the times when my family played games together and had a blast. We've just never done it in a cottage in the New England area. Yet. And that day hopefully will come. It just looked awesome. Like, gosh, they just looked like they had a great time. I know everyone's mentioned it. So definitely favorite character. And a football game. What a great thing to do. even if you're not good at football, it could still be fun as a family. I probably need to talk about the movie. Y'all have done an incredible job, every one of you guys, explaining this movie and just the depth that it brings. And I'll say this: I thought it just had a great storyline, and I thought it was just really cool how you had this kind of nice family experience, but then the twist that Steve Carell is in love with Marie. And she kind of likes him back, and they play into that really well. I think they kind of towed that line really nicely until the end. There's a little bit of drama, and so that tension's really, really nice. I love the New England feel. Like it's just a cool landscape, a cool area. I'm gonna be honest. I am not a massive Steve Carell fan outside of The Office, and I have learned that recently. There's been a few movies that I've watched him in. One of them being the Foxcatcher, Fox Hunter. Another one was the movie about the guy who painted mannequins. And now I did like him in the Way Back. Yeah, he was great in that. That was incredible. But this was another one where like he had hilarious moments, but I struggled to connect with Steve Carell. And then Marie was another person where I think she fit the movie well, but I didn't connect with her either. Mm-hmm. And everyone would probably say about me that I don't bring as much depth to the show as others. And so for me, a great character kind of makes a movie for me. And so because I didn't love the characters that much, I'm going to give it a 4.0. So we're going to keep it not a 3, not a 2, not a 1, not a 3.9, but it is a 4.
Not a thousands.
It's not in the thousands, but it is a 4.
Okay.
And it is a strong 4. And I love lighthouses. And I love Lamp.
Well, what else? Song-wise?
Well, old Mikers, I tell you what, I was trying to figure out what in the world am I going to sing about? And lo and behold, something popped into my little noggin. I've been listening to this song 4 or 5 times over the past week. And here's how it goes. I see pancakes on the griddle, syrup and butter too. I see you playing games, my family, me and you. And I think to myself, I'm gonna steal my brother's girl. I play football with you and have long tackles. We go to the bowling alley. We get caught smooching. And I think to myself, I'm gonna steal Dane Cook's girl.
That was good.
And that's all I got.
That is brilliant.
Hey, one last thing I did want to say. I wanted to put in my final thoughts, and I saw it down here, but I didn't. One last thing I really liked about this movie, and I think it's done it better than a lot of movies do, is when you're watching, you know who's going to end up together. Like, you know what's going to happen with this movie. But they never did anything that, like once he pushed her to, like, they never made out. They never did anything until the relationship was over. Like, there was no like kissing or anything until it was done. And I think a lot of times there would have been.
He did see her naked.
He did see her naked, but he didn't know. Like,
he covered his eyes.
In fact, he escaped out a window.
Not perfectly.
He did the visual.
He did a washcloth on his eyes.
He really discovered that window trick really late in that scene.
But I thought
conveniently.
That was cool. Like,
I'm just giving you a hard time.
There's a line crossed before. Yeah. And this movie didn't do that. So that's one last thing I wanted to add. This is the only other thing I would say before we do our Stein-off. Bradley, I know you're going to listen to this. And so I think that this is a movie you still need to watch.
Okay.
And Instagram will be expecting like a 2-minute review from you, letting us know what you thought, your favorite character. We're not letting you off the hook like that, man. So we're going to expect something. Taylor, I guess we're thankful you came along. I'm
Yeah.
glad I could show you what a good romance movie was after that crap shoot you made us.
Hey, that's one
Taylor,
of our
you're
highest
incredible. Did
rated
you know
episodes.
that movie with Keira Knightley that we watched, Pride and Prejudice, that has the most views of all of them?
Maybe not anymore.
I wonder
we
what
don't
the connection
know.
is.
Chad Poe. And so, with that said, I think it's time for us to go, y'all. This has been a talk to remember. You may not remember the movie, but we hope you remember the talk. Bye.
Peace.
For romance, somehow these dudes are our only hope.
I hope you do not remember the movie, but you know to talk. Bye.